Right, we're live. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening with Nick. Gonna let you introduce yourself, Nick, just in case anybody doesn't know who you are, but I reckon they probably do know who you are.
Yeah, I hang out on the internet, same as Jim, and I know it's the Jews.
Oh, he's watching it.
Sorry, man. I was just I was getting the window open and I got the little lag there. Yeah, no, I mean we filmed all the same like protests throughout the lockdown thing, didn't we? But you started with that, right? That was your first foray into it.
That is how I started filming stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and I started sort of making YouTube videos probably about 6 months before, or like halfway through 2019. But covering the topics that we've all swung back around to, like the drag queens and the immigration in Dover and all of that. So that was what was going on midway through 2019, and then it all got interrupted by COVID and lockdown.
It's all the same sort of thing, though. It all comes from the same sort of place, I think.
Well, it is, but it was interesting because, like, the nationalists from before, man, damn, they were slow. Like, loads of them supported the lockdown. Loads of them just were saying, nah, fuck this conspiracy theorist. We don't want to be associated with David Icke and all of that. They never apologized. I try and hold them to account for it. But, like, that whole thing, everything pre-2020, it really showed, like, well, who knows shit and who doesn't. And it tended to be Christians as well. It tended to be people who'd, like, come out and said, you know what, I've come to Jesus. Prior to 2020 that were like truthers that actually understood the COVID lockdown. Like Goddard was good, Computing Forever was good, Jade Franson's been good. Who else are Christians? Yeah, I noticed it quite early. E. Michael Jones was like terrific on it. There was just, across the board, the loud Christians were great on the lockdown.
Right. Right, what was you saying then? Because you sort of lost me there. I was listening, so you got one of them voices. I'll get lost listening to you going on, Nick, mate. What was we actually talking about? About Christians. That's the discernment. That's what that is. That's why the Christians are able to tell, and the rest. I remember now. It's about the thickos in the right wing you was talking about.
I've been wondering about, like, people who are non-Christians, who are like truthers or people in the freedom movement or stuff, but people that don't place any stock in Jesus and what.
This is a big problem. There's a big New Age thing a part of this movement, isn't there? There's this whole spiritual New Age angle that a lot of them are coming with. That's what I was finding. There's either Christians, conspiracy theorists, or like New Age hippie sorts of types of people.
Yeah, and the question is, like, if they reject Jesus, what else do they seem to be missing? Interestingly, people that, like, aren't Christians, they tend to be the anti-racist types of the freedom movement, because they're like, no, all religions the same and all races are the same. So they're absolutely pants on immigration, those types. So that's good. Christ seems to make you racist. But there's other things as well. There's a few other, because a lot of them, I think they're actually like atheists, or they've evolved from some form of atheism. They would have liked sort of Hitchens and Sam Harris and that 8 years ago, whereas now they're somewhere else. But ultimately, they reject Jesus, and that's always a problem. People end up doing the wrong thing when they do that.
Right, but we had a conversation the other day. We sent each other a couple of voice notes. I hope you don't mind me saying. And you said about you being more of an optimist. You didn't say any exact words, but you sort of called me a pessimist, and you was more of an optimist than that, right? And I was fundamentally, first things first. Are you Christian?
Yes,
you are. 100%. What are you, Bible believing? What are you? Any denomination? Anything like that?
Yeah, this is a bit of a struggle, isn't it? Because I am a massive fan of Jesus, and I believe that the Bible is prophetic, and quite blatantly so since 2020.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's quite a big part of it. But, like, what are we to do about the church? Because, like, I don't go to church on a Sunday because the last time I tried, it basically made me feel uncomfortable. It was on Christmas Day, and I had to sit on my own because I wasn't wearing a mask. And it's just like, this is ridiculous. What are we supposed to do here? And I don't like the idea of just like giving it a go in a church, going along because it's the right thing to do, and and having to give money in a collection plate that like goes up to Justin Welby. Like, it's all the Jesuit thing, isn't it? And it's bad. It's bad in there. So I'm like massively pro Jesus, massively pro Bible, but I don't know what's to be done about the church.
Right. So do you keep fellowship with other Christians?
I'm not very close to anyone who doesn't consider themselves a Christian anymore. I've got a few friends, but I kind of mock them for it. But everyone that I'm close to is basically on the same journey. I've got a good mate who's like getting very, very into the Bible and sends me verses and stuff. I can't pretend I sit around reading it in a group with people in person. But I'm moving towards it. It's all right.
But the Bible, you believe it is deeply prophetic, especially seeing as what we've just lived through in the last 3 years.
I think it's pretty blatant. I think you have to be.
I'm agreed. I agree with you on that. So my next question would be then, what about, like I said, this is going back to our voice notes and our private messages. What about all this faith in man? Because like you said, you try to find people to get behind and support, not necessarily. You see where I'm going with this, right? Because I'm always looking out for like getting led down the garden path by the Pied Piper sort of thing, and that's that I believe that my pessimism and my cynicism is to do with like the whole Jesus thing of not putting your faith into man, especially in these prophetic times. Like, would you say we're in the end days?
It looks like it. I heard people say maybe it's not the apocalypse, but it's certainly echoes of it. And then I thought, nah. And like, I've got a lot of. I chatted to, I filmed those little vox pops with people at the marches. Like, I got some great ones of people giving their interpretation of the Book of Revelations, and I got a few people talking about how they thought the Antichrist was AI.
Interesting.
Have you not heard this before?
Nah.
Okay, it's the idea that the Antichrist is like a non-human form of intelligence that operates through all the algorithms and stuff and keeps us hooked. It's very, very convincing idea that it's not a human, so it's not like Elon Musk or Donald Trump or something. But yeah, I was talking to loads of people that were quoting the Book of Revelations based on what was going on, and it kind of became the consensus. It's like, yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Yeah, so that, bearing that in mind, like faith in man, the thing is with trust, like I trust God, and then I trust me, and then I trust people based on kind of like a handshake and eye contact is good, and then it's
well, that's not very fair. That's not very. Look, what about autistic people? If you're basing it on eye contact,
what I'm getting at here is it's very dangerous to trust someone on a screen. So I think that these people that have these massive followings, like Tommy Robinson's a great example, because he got me a lot closer to Jesus as soon as I found out who was paying him. Because there was this whole like, oh, he's going to die for our country when he goes to jail thing. There was a false messiah thing going on. And then when I found out who was funding him, I was like, it's exactly what it says in the book. So you're right that it is a repeating pattern, and we need to watch out for like being led down the garden path. I look for, I guess it's when someone's like an overt sinner. That was always the thing with the right wing, is if like you got this lot supporting Andrew Tate at the moment. It's like not very conservative, lads. It's not very traditional. No. So I look out for hypocrisy, and you're saying that as well, because are we talking about Bridgen and Malhotra?
Well, all of them, any of them, basically. This is what I'm saying. We've been doing this. We knew what was going on before they were stabbing people in the arm. We knew what the game plan was going to be. Yeah, whether or not you thought it was to depopulate the earth, or whether or not you thought it was to make a quick buck, how these corporations do, we all knew what was going on, and we all knew the risks involved with rushing something in 6 months that usually takes 10 years. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. But if you are a rocket scientist, or if you are a cardiologist or a virologist, say for instance, like Bridgen, like Malhotra, then I would suggest that 3 years down the line is a little too late to show up to the party.
Yeah, ultimately,
and further to that, sorry, just to finish, I would say to add that there's sinister, there's stuff going on in the background, like it's for a purpose, basically, fundamentally, is where I'm at on it.
Well, Esther McVeigh this evening was questioning the excess deaths in Parliament. And
I see that.
Yeah,
I see that.
Yeah, no, and I get what you mean.
Where's the rest of them? It's funny that we got Esther piping up now, right? But where's Chope? Where's whoever else was there when it was? Do you know what I mean? Since Bridgen's piped up, they've all sort of disappeared again. And it's the same thing with Swain and Baker and Walker and the rest of them. Whenever you'd never see them all gang up. They wouldn't gang up and like organize and get something sorted about it. It would all be like one dissident voice at a time or two at the max. Like there's never. Do you see what I mean?
Well, I think like first of all, we know that it's all theatre rather than like an actual political system. So there's no proper left-right battle going on. But also it all operates like a mafia. So it's weird. We're in a weird situation where, like, yeah, when it comes to it's specifically these two characters, Malhotra and Bridgen, one an MP, one a expert cardiologist who was on TV recommending the jab. And both of them are now saying we need to halt the jabs pending an investigation, which is pretty terrible language in itself. Not very urgent. And yeah, the point we're agreeing on here is that, like, well, you were in a position of authority, you were making the call, and also, as you're saying, stuff like no long-term safety data, like it can't be argued with, and an idiot can understand it. You don't need a science degree. You don't need. There's no new evidence that will tell you that supporting the totalitarian measures, where it's like you're not allowed to see your dying relatives, is wrong. It's not like anything about a virus. Oh, well, actually, the virus wasn't, turns out it mutates differently. That doesn't affect the fact that you supported like family destroying policies.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you here. The thing is, we're not like in any position to kind of administer justice at the moment, are we? All we can do.
Yeah, but what? Okay, I'm not. So maybe I'm not trying to administer. I'm not trying to be arbiter of the justice. I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. But it's things like Fiona, and then everyone getting rallied up, and then putting all the faith in her, and as well. Like I don't trust that for.
Well, people shouldn't. People should be like getting on with their own thing. Like you've got your channel, I've got my channel, and Fiona kind of does her thing, and she does have a lot of people roped in helping. But I think that people should just be getting on with their own thing as much as they can, because this was all about like on a deeper spirit.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Me and you do our own thing, but certain people went to the movement and they sort of commandeered what was going on, and then
that's because most people need leading. I mean, people want marches, right? In 2021, people want marches, so someone has to set the date of those marches, and someone has to set the route of those marches. And I think they ended up alternating. It was like Fiona, and then it was Louise Creffield month or whatever. But like, I was never going to step up.
Both of them who's giving the routes to the police and sorting it all out with the police and the rest.
I ain't involved in none of that. And
this is why people get their backs up, though. It's things like this that get people's backs up.
I think if people place all their, like, the thing about the march, like this one it couldn't even really be a march because it's being led by like people who've been rendered disabled by the jab. So this whole thing needs to change.
That weren't a bit of a parade? You didn't think that was a bit of a parade of the, like, I'm not being funny, like, do you know what I mean?
What are you gonna do? I mean, I'm
yeah, but it's a thing that's basically been put on by people that were shouting at the start. Yeah, don't get jabbed. And now, to further propagate their narrative, they're now using the people that have been jabbed.
Not using them.
All right.
I will tell you this because the people, the injured and bereaved guys are like, you know, they're helping out with it, and they
were the reason we was marching in the first place, because they was the ones swallowing it all, calling us all conspiracy theorists and anti-vaxxers.
Here's an important point to make, is that the vast majority of people that got
coerced into doing it.
Exactly. And like there's no correlation between the level of injury that someone suffers as a result of it and how much of a COVID Nazi they were, right? I don't know.
I agree.
And also,
there's a false equivalence.
Added to that, I would say if someone like guys, if you want to feel legitimate laughing at someone who like called for your imprisonment, then dying, you know, go for it. But that's not really what we're dealing with here, because we're dealing with like, I don't know what percentage of the UK population actually got it. It's more than half. Do you reckon it was 2/3?
I don't think it was that much. I think they lie about all the figures and everything.
I think they do, but
all I ever see is 33s everywhere, mate, to be honest.
Yeah. But internationally, they were reporting that the UK was like 90%.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it was, but if I'm judging off like, I work in a pretty like normal environment, right, of not awake people. There's one other English guy in there who didn't take it, and then there's 3 Hungarians, and obviously none of them did. And there's another sort of 12 to 15 guys and gals working in there who've all got it, and most of them are going on the booster treadmill. So it is a lot of people, and I wouldn't say that all of them were. It's difficult. It's just like you got to acknowledge that most people did it to like keep the job or to.
But this is what I mean. If they assume the position that they should have done, that they want to do now. Yeah, they want to push back against it now. They want justice now because it affects them. The difference between us is we was trying to prevent them from getting it, even when it didn't affect us. We was trying to do them the favor. But now it personally affects them. They want to make noise about it. But if they hadn't have got affected by it, was that not right? Is that not right, do you think?
Maybe. You can't tell. You don't know what would have, because do people wake up all the time? My observation from Saturday is that it's the same bloody group of people for 3 years straight, right?
What do you mean?
Same faces at the protest on Saturday.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is what I mean. Yeah. But we already knew. This is what I'm saying. The people that are vaccine damaged, they didn't listen. They wanted to call us names, and now they're being paraded.
Because you're drawing an equal sign between the vaccine damaged and the vaccinated, and also like the vaccine sort of enforcers and zealots. And like I'd be very fucking careful about this. But also, like, what benefit is there? Like, I think ultimately,
I just find it strange. The people, no, you're missing my point. I'm talking about the people that are putting it on, right? Fundamentally, this is talking about Fiona. This is fundamentally talking about her because she's the one that she knew from the start what it was going to be. She was at marches with everyone else saying, "Don't take the jab," everything else, yeah. And now she's got GoFundMe's and the rest of it while she's doing.
If you can find someone else who's actually like helping these people, then be my guest. But I'm the only person that interviewed any of them throughout this like month. I'm the main journalist who's spoken to vaccine injured people in the UK,
and that's a noble thing. That's a noble thing.
It's not just a noble thing.
But have you got money? Have you got a GoFundMe out there whilst you're doing it?
Not yet. I'm waiting for my Subscribe Star to be verified.
Right. This is what I'm saying.
I won't get involved in the grift shaming, because what I do when I like, I'll go after PA and Tommy Robinson.
It ain't grift shaming, but you can't have a Telegram channel where you're sitting there crying to people all the time, man. It's not. It's not.
Well, no, I'm on this boat where I'm like, I'm so bored of men being feminine little bitches and bitching about women. It's like, can we do better than this? Get on with something. No, dude, I've had it since, like, it doesn't matter which woman it is. It doesn't matter whether it's Fiona, Jada Franson, Lucy
Right.
Brown.
So what about if she said "Hail Satan" in front of you?
Like, no one ever supports the women that
what about if she said "Hail Satan" in front of you? Is that a joke?
Well, no, this is what I said to you in that voice memo, is that, like, I think that being poised to call people out and make that your main thing, how does that get us further?
No, but I'm asking, when you're asking about, is she helping them, this, that, and the other?
Well, she is.
Oh, right, cool. Yeah. She may well be. She may well be.
Is. I'm telling you. I'm not giving you the.
Okay. I agree. I agree with you. She. All right. So, yeah, and I said it's very noble. It's a noble thing. It's a noble thing. But my point is, right? Do you think that holds any relevance if someone should say something like that? Do you think that's worth taking note of? Do you reckon it's worth just having that?
Maybe, but I think when you zoom in on stuff like, they've been in a photo like that, or they've got.
No, saying "Hail Satan" is.
I'm sure it's footage of me saying that somewhere. I've got, dude. I go to metal gigs all the time, and I'm expected to throw up the horns. I try not to, but sometimes you're a bit drunk. Like this. To me, this is not evidence. A little bit of like blasphemy, because everyone swears and everyone says.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
No, 100%. It's not just one thing, though.
If we look at Russell Brand, right? I don't have any definitive dirt on Russell Brand other than I find him annoying. There's the 33 thing. There's the previously married to Katy Perry thing. There's the still allowed on YouTube with a massive size thing. Like, it's all suspicious as all hell, but it's not enough for me to like go out there and say, yes, I know Russell Brand is a fucking shill and you need to watch out for him. But I do know enough about like Tommy Robinson or Mark Collett or Andrew Tate to very comfortably say that. And I can make those kind of observations. Or you can make the observation that like Alex Jones is clearly terrified to talk about Jews. Like it's all concrete stuff. Do you know what I mean? Right. Whereas like someone has a GoFundMe page. Well, everyone's got a GoFundMe page. This isn't.
Yeah, no. It's just about the different things. It's just about jumping on different things. And I don't know, mate. I don't know. People need funding to help people. People need funding. I'm not trying to change the funding. It ain't just that. It's about the main issue is commandeering the freedom movement, the anti-lockdown movement, and giving it tunnel vision. Yeah, and rather than talking about all the things like, say, for instance, like you're saying, there's a lot of people in the freedom movement that struggle to understand the severity of being invaded and how it's all interlinked. Like, this sort of stuff needs explaining, and we should be talking about it.
I think she's picked the right targets, though. I think that the NHS 100K last January was bang on. I think that like when there's a single focus, and also like, fuck me, I don't think anything trumps vaccine damage. Like, you can tell me that all these men are coming over here and that they're for an army in a couple of years' time and it's going to unleash hell. But I don't really see it. I occasionally
No. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is all the girls and all the children are going to be raped and fucking chased around the towns and that. Don't worry about an army of UN soldiers. But what is undoubtedly a fact is that there are a shit ton of men, no women and children, a shit ton of men coming to this country. And usually in their own countries, there's a reason why they've left their own countries and they've come this way. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not going to be good here. Whether or not people believe it's a fucking UN army or not, mate, it's not a good look what is going on. And it is going to get bad.
I don't know if it's because I've spoken to them and done these interviews, but I consider like the guys who haven't been compensated in any way for the damage from the jab to be the sort of tip of the spear of the New World Order in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know how much you know about like how little help they get and then they get gaslit by the doctors. The doctors are saying that all their symptoms are like psychosomatic, even when their heart doesn't work. They're saying, oh, it's just anxiety and shit. Like,
I can imagine that give you the right task, mate, especially if you bought into it all when you took the vaccine in the first place. For whatever reason, whether you wanted to go on holiday or whether you didn't want to argue the toss and keep your job. Do you know what I mean?
I'm amazed at your lack of empathy for your fellow.
No, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? Because if I was in that position and someone said that to me, I would say, "You're fucking mad. I'll see you in the tribunal, you cunt." It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If I was, I wouldn't ever be in that situation because look at me, I'm unemployable. I'm too fucking argumentative. But the point is, like, if I was ever in that situation, I know that there is an antichrist fucking beast system out there at play. Like,
but do you not what are you smug that you made it?
I'm not smug. I'm not. I've got the ump. In case you can't tell, I'm not smug. I've got the ump, mate.
Are you not really grateful that God put you in a position where, like, fortunately, you were fucked up enough to see through it? Like, I feel really.
So every cunt I can scream and shout at about it can just fucking ignore me and carry on doing it anyway. My old man had about 4 fucking jabs, mate. Do you know how much that fucking angers me? Like, and then people. It's
mad. We've had to learn so much about free will because you could fucking scream at people and they wouldn't, and it was like it was predestined. It was like this was all decided long before there was a jab on the table whether or not you were the type of person who was going to go for it. I just mean that, like, it's the big cover up, and therefore it's the big thing that we need to talk about. And I do think that all the other stuff, I don't know, nothing's as extreme as this, because, like, pre-2020, people were talking about white genocide. And to be honest, from where I was sat, I'm like, I get it. We're being outbred. We're going to be a minority, as in you're going to slip below that 50% line in your homeland. But normally the word genocide is saved for something a bit, bit more overt than that. And when the left took the piss out of the Nazis for using the phrase white genocide, going, it's not a genocide, they got a point. Like, it looks pretty pathetic. Whereas the jab thing, I think that's a genocide. Like, it's the worst thing I think our government's ever done to us, like, that quickly. Mass immigration, there's like sort of causal link. You bring the people in and then they do the thing. Whereas this was straight up the government just killing people.
Yeah, but they're like I'm saying, they're all interlinked. They're all the same thing. It's all
they are
the same place.
They are, but this is the one that's the like quickest. This is the one that's the most extreme, and it's the one that woke the most people up and got the most action out of it, right?
Where do you sit then on the 5G thing?
On the 5G thing, it's complicated, isn't it? It's like I think there's a large-scale heavy metal poisoning campaign that's probably been going on for like a century, and it appears to be part of that. There's also, like, I know there's various stuff with frequencies like 440 hertz in pop music, so like I wouldn't place. And also the 5G masts they're pretty scary. They're clearly evil,
right?
Like, the details.
So I should have asked you about the actual virus first. So do you believe there is the virus? Do you believe?
I no longer believe in viruses, mate.
Right. So your terrain theory, everything is a toxic insult, and your exosomes getting rid of it, this, that, and the other. Yeah.
Maybe there's grey areas. Maybe that there's some sorts of contagions, but maybe some.
You do believe in pathogens, then?
I don't know. There's cases of people like getting ill from being in the same environment with an ill person, aren't there?
Right.
Or there being outbreaks and stuff like that. So it's maybe not cut and dry, but the idea of a virus is pretty unconvincing at this point. I'm pretty terrain theory.
Right.
But I ain't seen the debate, and I'd like to watch the debate,
For sure. So that would leave that. So you do believe that there's something sinister with the 5G. That's why I asked you first, because I could have told more from that.
Yeah. Oh, right. Is the theory that it was like triggering deaths in 2020?
Well, no, but the theory is that the 5G, in order for the 5G to actually cause you harm, you have to be open to the idea of that is how you get sort of ill. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Wait, say that again. Let me follow.
Radio frequencies.
Yes.
Make you ill.
Oh, that's observable. Do you live in London?
No.
Okay, because I feel a bit ill every time I go into London now.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of stuff going on there, and I kind of pick up on it, and I just feel better when I travel out to my town. and there's trees and stuff. And I think it's to do with that.
I'll be inclined to agree with you. I do think there is something. Well, I know there's something in that. I believe myself that I am hypersensitive to electromagnetic forces and things like that. Have you ever put a phone next to your ear and you felt like it magnetized to your brain?
I don't know about that. It's just that, like, in certain areas of London, I mean, it's been really interesting spending so much time around like Parliament Square and that the past few years because of all the. I noticed that the buildings that are all sort of Tartarian are like massive lie factories. Like, so you got the House of Commons, which is just a big lie factory. And then the Natural History Museum is another one that's built in these columns. And I know that they're conducting summit. They're built to conduct stuff. And it's really interesting that, like, it's long-term evil that's housed in there. Like, Natural History Museum has the dinosaurs and evolution and everything. It's just a pattern I've noticed, and you feel really like. But I still think those buildings are like beautiful compared to everything else in London, so it's kind of difficult. But certain areas of London make me feel really uneasy, and I think it's that electromagnetic stuff or ley lines or whatever.
So how far down that Tartarian rabbit hole are you?
It depends. I think there's a lot. I've seen a lot of stuff of people going, "Oh, there were giants like only 80 years ago," and or like, here's a picture of someone with a mobile phone in 1920, and I don't really know about that. But
that's
I mean,
a different thing, isn't it? All that what's it called?
Area, is it? I don't know. I'm more taken with Atlantis, I guess.
I'm talking about the mud floods and the what they call it, the where they reckon that they used to build out of sort of like not cement, but that what do they call it? Oh, Brian would know. Some sort of cement, but stone back in the day. They reckon they built all these big structures. He's trying to say there's a fella on the internet on YouTube called Paul Cook, and he reckons that all the coast is man-made, basically.
All the coasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know this. Like, I watched a flat Earth thing where the end conclusion was that, like, every mountain was actually like the stump of a felled tree.
Yeah, I see one like that.
Yeah, this is a bit full on. This, you know.
What? Are you a flat earther then?
Yeah, I do a job that proves it. I won't give too much away about what I do, but it's in like drilling holes in the ground. But it essentially, like, it can't be a globe based on a level. Wouldn't work. Simple as that. Fucking level that every builder uses wouldn't work if it was a globe.
So you're saying, for instance, because you reminded me when I was doing, I was testing for a job digging up holes and things in the road. So if you're saying, if you used to dig a hole in one part of somewhere and then you went 7 miles away, you'd have to dig deeper to get to it, or what? What are you saying? How does it prove it?
So a good example would be like if you dig a hole here and you dig a hole here 20 meters next to it, you can go as deep as you like. They'll never converge. They'll never meet because the Earth doesn't go like that. It goes straight down. There's loads of other proof of it. If you go up last time I was on an aeroplane, I checked it. The horizon doesn't drop. The horizon should drop if you go up, but it doesn't. What's some other? I mean, just look at the sun. Look at the sun's rays. The sun is not as far away as they say it is. Isn't it an amazing coinkydink that the moon just happens to be exactly the same size on an eclipse, even though they're completely different sizes? Like, it's just, and the Bible talks about the firmament. I think that's another big thing, you know. Like, it's in Genesis. It's right at the beginning. Right at the beginning, you got the firmament. Yeah, I went down that rabbit hole once, and you can't really come back. I mentioned the tall trees because I was like, maybe this is too far, but basically everything up till that point, I'm pretty on board with.
So, what about 2011 then? September 11th, 2001.
That is, a lot of people misunderstand that. They think that once you get to inside job, you've finished, but that's not true, because it like proves that there's a new sort of Tesla technology that we're not even supposed to know about, because the tower's just turned into dust, and that's like not supposed to exist. So 9/11's fucking interesting because it was so like blatant.
Well, you're saying it goes deeper than dancing Israelis?
Sort of, yeah. Because how they actually did, like, there was a hurricane. I only learned all this stuff when I made a little half-hour piece on 9/11. Like, I'd set myself this task to make 5 little conspiracy episodes, and one of them was on 9/11. And by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, whoa, there was so much I didn't know. Like, there was a hurricane that was just off the coast all day that didn't get reported on. It was just sucking the dust into it. It's just sucking the dust away all day, and you can look it up.
Some DARPA harp fucking thing.
Like. Yeah. There was a 9/11 hurricane that just wasn't on the news. There's all sorts of extra shit going on there. Like, there's nowhere near the debris that there should have been. So it's not as simple as it was just explosions, like, and dancing Israelis and that. And also, like, yeah, dancing Israelis is a funny one because, like, what is the head of the pyramid? It's not like, because I was involved with that PA lot. I think they just kind of stop at like Jews, and it's not so simple. Like, I wonder if the CIA is sort of above Israel somehow, or whatever. Because the CIA is definitely working against the interests of all Americans, but I don't know. I never know how this stuff overlays. How the hell does Zionism actually?
So what do you think is the top of the pyramid then? You think it's the Jesuits?
Well, I think it's the devil, really, and then it just gets complicated.
Yeah, no, 100% it is the devil.
Yeah, and the fact is, like, the demons, they work through people, so it's not always it's because I've come across some fucking bad people in this, and I believe they're demonically possessed. And that doesn't mean they're getting their orders from higher up the actual pyramid. Do you know what I mean? Like, here on Earth. So, like, and also, like, have you seen a demon in someone's face ever?
I mean, I can't be sure, but I reckon once or twice, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have, and it didn't leave me. It just confirmed, like, wow, okay, that's a thing. That's the thing. People can, like, get a host in them. So yeah, I'm very like. There's a lot that's happened to me that made me religious. I'd say, well, no, there was 2 angles to it. Number one is like, well, the Bible seems to be more accurate than like any other theory I can find. It's the only thing that adequately explains the JQ. No other theory has worked on that one. And yeah, I also just have like seen a couple of things that tip you over beyond, like, we're not playing politics anymore. This is like evil. This is straight up evil. Or like when they burnt Notre Dame, I thought that was really evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we going, Jim? Where are we going?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. Where's my notes? I've got some notes here somewhere. One sec.
Bear in mind, we covered Christ quite quickly, which is good.
Yeah, well, this is the only thing that I really had to say on that was the faith situation, because it was after you said to me that you was about trying to find people to big up, and I was trying to find people to kind of so to speak, and it's just like,
well,
I haven't got that faith in man. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like I struggle with that. That's a real thing that I struggle with, because I've been let down and I've been persecuted like my whole life. So it's just like, what's the fucking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like no faith in man, mate. So whenever people are saying all the right stuff, I just find it hard to get my head around, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. Where's the line between us just being observers of this whole thing? Like, whatever we think of bridging, will we ever affect what's going to happen with these?
Well, hopefully so. All we can hope to do is create ripples, and then something like, I don't expect to be able to change anything by myself, but usually, like from what I've observed in the past, I do say stuff, and it's sort of, people do sort of latch onto it. So I don't want people to start. I don't want like fucking to to get a lynch mob and trying to hang anyone. It's not like that. I just want people to be awares and to be observant, and it's hard, but to use discernment. Not everyone's a believer. Not everyone's got that discernment. But that's all that I'm trying to do. Really, is that I don't want. You know, when you're at these things, at these demonstrations, and you hear everyone clapping, like when people and cheering when people are saying swear words and things like that. It's just like, it makes you think, like, what are we doing? Do you know what I mean? It's like we're all clapping swear words and things like that. We should be getting a lynch mob and fucking standing outside. Like, what? Why are we outside the BBC? We weren't even outside the BBC. Do you know what I mean? We was just round the corner from the BBC. Like,
it's a funny one, because you're complaining about being led at all. Like, who are these people that are leading us? And then complaining about the direction.
I complain about everything.
Yeah. No, you do. It's good.
That's I've got no solutions. All I can do is critique. I have got solutions, but you're not allowed to talk about them.
Let me just get it out.
What'd you say?
I got a book about that. Just give me a second.
What? No solutions?
Yeah, you said you can't provide solutions. All you can do is critique. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've got a book about it.
Very, very good book.
No, but in all seriousness, like I'm saying, it ain't about trying to lynch anyone. I just want people to fucking use a bit of discernment. Like, it's you can't be like, this is like the same thing that I tried proving with Steve, right? Like, and he didn't want to have it. Like people are of the world. They're carnal beings, and that if they're not with Christ, they are of the world and they are bought. It's as simple as that. But like, they're physical. They want physical things. They want money to have physical things with. And this is essentially my issue. Yeah. Like, unless you're fucking, that's basically it. Unless you're a believer, I'm sorry. I've got issues, because
I'm sort of. It depends what those issues are. I'll never place my full faith in like any human, but I'll always more readily place it in someone who's a Christian than someone who's not. Like, there's this huge question mark over David Icke for me, because he completely discounts the idea of Jesus. And that just like that. And for me, that doesn't mean that he's like controlled or he's secretly a Mason or any of this stuff. It just means that, like, at some point down the line, he'll slip up or give bad advice because he doesn't have that bedrock that I trust. And it's because I've seen that the people that do have that firm foundation, they just make good decisions. So I'm with you there. But like, I think it depends what's being asked of like these people. You know, I support group efforts to tell these stories, or just to do anything to do anyway.
Yeah. I'm not. This is what I mean. I'm not. It's not about that. To me, it's not about that. It's. I don't know, mate. I just don't.
I think you always, like, I would say you gotta present clear evidence. If there's like, I don't trust this person and I don't want my audience to trust this person, and I want them to know why.
But that's the thing. That's the discernment, though, isn't it? That's you can't teach that to someone. You can't say, look, this is giving me that feeling. This is giving me that feeling. That's giving me that feeling.
It's not feelings. Like, feelings should guide you towards something that you can then verify as true. I've got a funny feeling about this person, but I don't know anything yet. Like, Mark Collett was a great example. I always had a fucking funny feeling about that guy, but I didn't know what it was until I actually sort of went and investigated. And there's no soul in there. That's a guy that just sort of takes from people and then discards when he's through with them. But as the end result of it, I've like made a whole piece on it that kind of demonstrates it. And that's what, and like the Tate thing, I saw fucking people supporting Andrew Tate and go, nah, free Top G, he's a legend. And it's like, well, okay, here's 20 minutes of him in his own words talking about how he's a sex trafficker and he loves sleeping with underage girls. He'll move to this country to sleep with underage girls. He'll move out of this country because he's wanted for rape, like all in his own words. And and that's the level that I have to work with. But it like follow your own hunch, but you can't expect people to go with it without giving them something.
No, I don't expect nothing of no one. This is what I've come to understand. Like, I can only do so much. Like, and if I can't get in, I can't get involved. I can't be round. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like it's not a thing that I can go and get amongst them, this, that, and the other. Like, they wouldn't have that now. Do you see what I'm saying? Even beforehand, that Cheska and the rest of it, like they've already been making it like a weird thing from before. This is what I'm saying. So that's why my back's already up. You see what I'm saying?
Well, look, everyone's got their thing, and like I think the best stuff you've done is against the pedos. I think that's where your fight is, really. I don't think it's in the vaccine fight. Closing
I don't know, mate. I don't know. It all started over liberties and stuff, really. But no, the vaccine damage do need justice and that. Do you see what I'm saying? But
it's a very weird road to get it, man. It's
this is the thing though, right? When Bridgen makes this speech on October the 25th or whenever it was last year, and he comes out and he says all this stuff for 6 minutes, yeah. And in the last 5 seconds of that speech, he tells the people that are listening, we need to do something about this. Otherwise, people aren't going to trust politics and they're not going to trust medicine. Yeah. So that to me tells me, in summary, when he summed up, the most important matter of fact that he's trying to get across to these people is the trust and the faith that's not going to be had in the establishment and the system. And that is his fundamental issue. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I would agree that environment doesn't lend itself to any form of like critique, because it's a guy on a stage with a microphone in front of a crowd. You get one of two reactions: you get a cheer or you get a boo, right? And there's not really any room for anything in between. And so it's only in the fallout that you're going to hear this kind of critique. And I think it's all like I'm kind of well behind anyone that holds the line and says, well, no, you weren't a member of the public, you were an expert who should have spotted this. And he
said that he's a virologist. He's got a degree in virology.
Yeah, I know. And and it's good because like you're asking me this question, and the goal is to ask him this question.
Yeah, I understand that, but I didn't think about it the other day, did I? And you went for a drink with him, so I'm seeing if you know.
No, I know. No, I mean, like, went for a drink. I like bumped into him at that politician's pub at Downing Street, him, Curtin, and Mark Sexton, and was just like,
that was another thing as well. Sexton was right up his Harris.
Well, I don't know the intricacies. I was far too busy dealing with far right.
It's like this: once a police officer, always a police officer, Nick, mate. That's basically how we look at things.
That is, I flip flop on that one because, like, I've always been like a pacifist, right? So it was only very briefly going, on this journey left to right or whatever, that I like, because you're told you're a nationalist and you're a patriot, I kind of have some respect for veterans and stuff. But like, where has this ever been good? I don't think it's ever been good. Naturally, I've always known that, like, well, just sending a load of men off to die.
Yeah, it's mental. The whole idea of that is just the industry. It's just a war industry making money. It's just another thing, isn't it? It's just a money spinner.
Yeah, exactly. And the police is the same thing, because it's like, okay, you can sort of spin a yarn about how people might want to do good, and maybe someone has a story about where at a pivotal age, like a policeman did something important, so they always wanted to be a copper, but it doesn't manifest in that way, does it? Like I'm generally more like worried about the police and scared of the police than I am like keen to go and ask them for help. I feel like a criminal, but I'm not actually a criminal. I'm not someone that goes around and like nicks stuff off people or fucks people over in any way. But because I've got the wrong thoughts and I smoke weed and like this kind of stuff, I've always felt like the police aren't my friend, but logically they should be, because what they should be doing in their job is keeping people who like safe people like us safe from mental people, but they don't. They keep the state safe from us. Essentially, that's what we learned in 2020, anyway.
Well, this is what I mean. So, but it takes a special sort of cunt to do that job, and do you know what I mean? And I don't see how you can do the job for however long and then decide, oh well, I'm actually above that now.
I think the key with bridging is like if we've got 650 MPs, is one MP. You've brought up the point that we've actually probably had about 6, 7, or 8 by this point.
Yeah, well, it's non-linear warfare, mate. It's not, he's a stooge. He's not your friend. They just give him to you one at a time, mate.
Yeah, I mean we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes because But
this is what I mean. Down the garden path, wasting time.
Well, aren't the public more of a fucking issue than the Parliament at this point? Because we're desperate for this dam to burst on vaccine damage, and it looks like it is just the willful blindness of because as I said, it's the same core of people.
I don't think the public care. I think, I'm saying, it's one of them things that people only care if it affects them. They're not. They're horrible. People are fucking horrible. This is the thing. They don't. No, this is the thing. It's the truth of it. People don't care. You're not gonna get. This is what I'm saying. This is why I believe it's a distraction and a waste of time. This not a waste of time because the people do deserve justice and that. But like I'm saying, you've commandeered a movement of people that are like-minded individuals talking about the right sort of stuff. And now they've been tunnel visioned into doing something else. If they're
that pathetic and sheep-like enough that just because, for one day they were gathered in this area and then went over there, and I don't know.
You're gonna make me call them pathetic sheep, ain't ya? Does that make you happy?
Well, essentially, that is what you're saying. You're going, no,
it's fits.
Because is this movement or not?
It's the clapping the swear words. It's the clapping the swear words that fucked it for me.
It's never been an overtly Christian cause.
No, but I don't mean for that reason. I don't mean for that reason.
No, but this is an inevitable product of it, right? Okay, so we want inevitably it will be Christian because people will have to realize that it's Christians and Christ, which is being aimed at here. I would hope that people would take it seriously after that woman got arrested for praying outside an abortion center. You saw that one, right? Yeah. That to me is the most obvious sign. It's like, if you can't see it by now, the police are cracking down on a woman praying. If she's just a religious nutter, then surely her prayer is having no effect and there's no reason to arrest her. Clearly, the state believes that her praying for those women going in there and their babies is working, and they've sent the police to stop her from doing that. Take that on board. That's the point that we will eventually get to. Eventually, everyone who has their eyes open to some of it will have to open their eyes to all of it, because it happened to me. Did you come to that? Have you come to Christ through that, through deductive, just going, you know what, this is what's going on?
I was raised a Christian. I was taken to Sunday school as a child. It was something that I've always had in me.
Well, same.
I haven't always walked with the Lord, but a few years ago I weren't doing much. And I decided that, like Jesus, I was going to start my work at 30. So I thought I better get busy, and I started filming shit. But the point is, when did I come back to Christ? How did I come back to Christ? It's basically all this stuff. It's like you were saying, you can see we're living revelations. There's all sorts of things, we're living through it, and there's all sorts of evidence you could back up. You could say, this is prophetic, this is happening, there's all these different things from around the world. And I would say, I feel bad because it weren't like I disbelieved or anything, but I weren't putting my effort into being a good Christian.
Yeah, but they've been really unimpressive. The people that are sort of Ned Flanders of this world.
But don't get me wrong. There's only I could never be that good. Do you know what I mean? I am a sinner.
I mean, they haven't even seen the truth. Right, the average.
They won't talk about the Book of Revelations.
Well, there's a real issue here, which is okay, church numbers in this country are going down, like quite rapidly. But at the same time, I don't know who's filling them, because everyone I know believes in Jesus, believes we're living through the end times, wants to go to church but doesn't, because they can't find a church that they can like trust. So, but there are, at the same time, there's loads of people who go to church every Sunday and believe something different to what we believe, like something completely different, and I don't know what they believe.
Yeah, no, because the church has well and truly been fucked. We do know that they've been corrupted for a long time. Like you can see that it's observable by the doctrine that they're trying to teach.
Yeah,
like, it is a massive problem, and fundamentally, when you're championing in a Christian country, when you're trying to be like we are supposed to be Christian, it's a hard thing to try and get behind. I think you're right. I think there needs to be more highlighting of the issue of the church, because the church is a massive part of the problem.
It's a massive problem because we've demonstrated there's actually like a weird thirst that shouldn't be there. Like dudes our age shouldn't be interested in Jesus Christ, really. And in the mainstream, it says that like none of us are. And they will prove that with these church attendance numbers. But this is not true. Like we're really like hungry for this. And if there were like a based reverend in my town, I'll be all over that. I'll be in his church every Sunday, right? So it is there. It's just there is nowhere for us to go at the moment. Christianity is like really based. It's not soft. And part of the problem is them making it all soft. I mean, they don't even acknowledge. You said they don't acknowledge like revelations. I don't think they really acknowledge the existence of like angels and demons either.
No, I'd agree with you there as well. They want to keep it all plain and simple for people. They don't want them to
just sort of be nice. Just be nice. Get along. Don't cause a scene. Is that sort of what it is?
No, it's a joke. So, but this is the point. It is a massive part of the problem. Like, if you are supposed to be a Christian country, and that's what they're preaching, that's the values they're trying to teach, like trying to let queers carry on and the rest of it. There has to be some sort of. You're right. There needs to be some. That's who I should start criticizing, Nick. Maybe I should start fucking getting my teeth into the church.
You should do, because they've got the gay marriage thing going on at the moment. I know. Did you see he's my mate, Rev Jamie Franklin. He was on Jeremy Vine and The Times saying that gay marriage is abhorrent, and obviously, like, it's not even a thing. Like, two men cannot get married by definition is the stance.
I didn't see that. No.
No, it's really good, but like, oh man, he's got an uphill battle there. Because it's a really weird situation where the church is half full of like basically lesbians that want to tear it apart from the inside, but they're like going, well, no, I'm a woman of God, and God has told me that like to love myself no matter who I choose to love, and for some reason half the church is that. But at the same time, he's also got like the political machine is against him as well, because I think it was Penny Mordaunt said that the church needs to catch up, and he was like, she doesn't get to say that. Has she said that to the mosques? But think about how hard a position he is in. He's got everything faced at him, and that's why people need to reckon that it is all a Christian fight. It's not like a vaccine fight.
Yeah, but it's like, if you can't get people to wake up and see that, like, you can't isolate the virus from people's cells. Like, if you can't, how are you going to get them to wake up and understand that this battle that we're fighting is for your soul, and it is between the big fella upstairs and the devil? Like, how are they supposed to comprehend that do you know what I mean?
This is it. I had to conclude. None of it has to do with like how clever you are or anything. It's that ability to reckon with that. It's a battle between good and evil. You've got to pick your side. You need some responsibility. And that's also why I brought it up with regards to freedom movement, is because I look at people that are New Agers who don't take the Christ stuff seriously. And I don't think that they will
But it's worse than that. That new age shit. They want to blaspheme in Christ's name, mate. They want to start talking about what's it, Kundalini and all sorts of secretions in spine.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, but it's the defaming him. It's the blasphemy. It's the talking shit about him. Do you know what I mean? It's not good. It can't be good.
You got to understand it, because like I can't. So my mate who I work with, who's the other unjabbed guy, he put on a reading of some. It was a guy who was going through some of Corinthians, right? And it was about like 45 minutes long, and it's basically him saying that it's not about like what you do or doing the right good acts or doing this behavior. It's about accepting Jesus Christ. That is what matters. Amen, indeed. But like after half an hour, I said, "Can you turn it off, please?" Because I accepted him like a good couple of years ago. I'm doing my work, and this is. I don't know where this guy who's telling me the only way to salvation is through the Son. It says it clearly. Like I don't know where this guy stands on COVID. I don't know where he stands on the New World Order. So I don't know where he stands on truth. So. And like so much of, is I don't really trust like the mainstream Christian interpretation of the Bible. Like they're missing shit. I think that it's been tampered with as well. I think that the Vatican has probably always been a bad project, hasn't it? It obviously is, because it's dripping in gold. I mean, that's the opposite of what Jesus taught. So like it's always so. I've never read the Book of Enoch. I hear interesting stuff about it. What do you think?
Dead Sea Scrolls. No, I've not. I've read a couple of bits from it. I've not read the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, like you're saying about the Catholics there. I don't know, mate.
I don't know about this drinking blood and eating flesh. I think it
sounds sacrilegious to me, mate. It sounds like a ritual. It sounds like a ritual, and the only people like the witches and fucking Masons do rituals, mate. So I don't.
Yeah, and then it all gets complicated, because like, okay, E. Michael Jones will engage in all of that, but like no one made me understand that old question better than that dude, and he's clearly standing in like Christ's name to deliver this truth. And I think Ye is confused and he's up and down, but he's ultimately doing the same thing as well. Like he believes in Jesus, and so
you're mental, ain't ya?
Well, I don't know. I don't think Ye is controlled. I just think
he opened his church on Halloween with Marilyn Manson.
Did he? When was that? Not this year.
Oh, mate. There's loads on him, man. I
know there is. But I don't
fucking MK Ultra'd up, mate. He's one of them.
No, I don't think he is. I'm really interested in what's
Bain Company are in control of him, mate. The same people that run fucking the Kardashians, mate.
Oh, it's weird up there, but he's gone rogue. He's clearly gone rogue.
He's gone rogue at the same time that Netflix are ready just to put out this thing about some black fellas and the Jews and that. Yeah, it's all a bit too fucking in line with the predictive programming. Sorry, Nick, mate. I'm not swallowing that one. He is 100% one of them controlled.
The big reveal was always going to come now, was it?
Well, I don't know, but they want anti-Semitism to be a thing. They do. Right? It's no secret. And this motherfucker is the one who made that red hat cool. He does shit. He makes shit cool. Like that's what his job is to do. That's why his job was to make anti-Semitism cool.
No, but I listened to his words on those interviews, and he's so like.
Oh, he's upset about the black babies getting terminated.
No, what I mean is he's actually like really complimentary about Jews as well. He's not telling people to hate them.
No, it's true. It's true. He is stating the facts. Yeah.
Well, no, it's like what's going on with that thing? I think in America, it's sort of hit a ridiculous point where they send so much money to Israel, and the entire conservative movement is sort of defined by support for that, and you're not allowed to talk about Nick Fuentes, and it's just sort of bubbled over to this ridiculous point where it's like, look, everyone knows. So just have the conversation out in the open. Everyone, Ben Shapiro, you can't pretend that we don't know.
Right, this is what I'm saying. So that's why Kanye's fit, because there was a time everyone see the conservative movement, IAPC, whatever the fuck they're called, all that fucking Israeli support and the rest of it. Everyone knew what it was. Like you're saying, you just said it yourself.
I think he's a loose cannon. I mean, we can disagree on this one, but I think he's just being him. I think also, I don't think Fuentes would fall for it if he was a fucking controlled thing. I don't think.
I'm America first. Nick Fuentes is Sephardic Jew, no?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, it's a different country.
He's gay. Is he a bit gay for Catboy Cammy? Do you know about that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, to be honest, I think someone being sort of like, he's kind of divorced from the real world anyway. If we're living this, like, yeah.
But if you're supposed to be Christian, are you going to promote sordid behavior?
I don't think. Oh my god, we're splitting hairs here, aren't we?
No, you got to be held to account by your words, by your fruits. You will know them. This is the thing. This is the thing.
Yeah, well, this is it. Is what am I supporting?
If I started prancing around with some queer on stream and that, being real gay, doing real gay shit, I wouldn't expect anyone to take me fucking seriously, mate. Let me tell you.
I'm amazed that anyone does take Fuentes seriously, purely because he's so young. It's a very strange thing for people older than him to be.
That is a strange thing as well, isn't it? Like, when you think about it.
Well, I think people get it the wrong way around a lot. I don't think enough people talk to Nick Griffin. Because he's just kind of like he achieved a hell of a lot, like it or lump it, in terms of like stuff way back, getting 2 MEPs elected and getting to talk about the Kalergi plan in
right. And what about the Templars? What about the Knights Templar?
So, I mean, we can have a look at their website, because apparently it's.
Where did it all start?
Well, I know this is not the same as the 32nd degree of the Freemasons. I know.
But I would suggest it's just a strange name.
It is. I agree with you. I can't give you the concrete answer for that one, but I know it has been addressed, and I think it's on their website. I think they've got like a Masonic logo with a strike through it.
With a strike through it.
Yeah. It's a very clear. Yeah, I don't know what the website would be, whether it's knightstemplar.com or what. But whichever one is linked to Nick Griffin and Jim Dalton, there should be a Mason symbol with a strike through on it quite clearly somewhere. Or they've
like Templar.org, do you think?
Maybe. I'll have a look.
It's got the Maltese cross and shit all over it. I doubt that's the one. That's not it. That's the real Knights Templars, I think.
I mean, this is the reason that because I was obviously familiar with that. I'm going to wear a Freemasonry. Knights Templar is supposed to be the 32nd degree, and I've got these 2 books on my shelf that were written by Nick Griffin, all about the Great Replacement and the Great Reset. And my kind of perspective on it is, if this is a ruse to lead us down a false garden path, I mean, it's leading us so close to the truth that I don't even get how this is supposed to work. And that's
because they account these plans are hundreds of years old. They're all top fucking psychologists and psychiatrists, and they forethink and they use foresight and they plan every fucking angle. And whether or not you're with them or against them, you're working to their ends. That's how this game is rigged.
I would say that you and me, Jim, are at a level of high discernment at this point. So the Tommy Robinson thing didn't get me for too long. And then I figured out what that was about. And various other things, like there's something off about you. Right. So I'm at a level where I'm basically like pretty comfortable, you know. I didn't get jabbed. I know, and we know all these different parts of the agenda. We kind of sussed it, and most people haven't. So we're doing all right. So like, I'm not too scared about traps at this point. Because what could happen to you or me to trap us?
I'm like you're saying, I'm not worried about that. Or my main thing, the main thing that I go by is that Ephesians scripture, and it is about taking no part in the evil and just expose it. That's all I'm supposed to do. Is I'm not supposed to take part in it, and I'm supposed to expose it. Like,
I want to see this verse.
what is it? 1611, I think.
Yeah, let's have a look at this. Oh, full armor of God, that one.
Yeah, I think. Hang on, where have I got it written down? No, 5:11. Sorry.
5:11. All right.
And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. KJV.
Do not participate in the useless deeds of darkness, but instead even expose them. Yeah, I mean, that's really good, isn't it? That's a really good verse, because I heard someone say, like, well, how do we battle this coronavirus narrative? And they said, as long as you live by this simple rule, I will not contribute to the lie. And this is when it was really bad, like where you were going to have to take a test to do anything, or maybe mandates were coming for you, or it was, or where you needed to take a test to like go to a gig or something like that. And I had loads.
That hasn't gone away. You do understand that, though, don't you?
I know this, and I'm very hardline. Well, I assume you and the chat are as well on this, but loads of people that went to the marches then went to these events, and I went, well, what are you doing? Don't you need a test? And they went, well, you can just fake it. And I'm like, but that moves us closer towards the fucking surveillance state.
Yeah, of course.
So that was, I consider that contributing to the lie. Like
100%.
Yeah.
Same way as getting vaccinated.
Well, no, but this sometimes gets pushed really, really far. Like, I suppose you don't work, do you? So you're not in one of these pressured situations where, let's say, there's 11 vaccinated people, you're the only unvaccinated one, and I don't know, it just comes up in conversation. Do you have to be forthright, or can you be silent, or are you going to lie? Like, it comes up. And now I'm in a really good habit of basically never lying and living through that. But I think there were situations where it got hard. I can't really remember them, but I'm sure there were situations where I just didn't bring up my opinion about 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember. I know
why was you doing that? To save any sort of...
Well, I'm trying to think. I'm a bad example because I'm so used to doing this. But for most unvaccinated people won't be loudly unvaccinated. They won't be used to it and being in the habit of it. Like this rule, do not participate in the useless deeds of darkness, but instead even expose them. I think that is like a muscle that you get more and more used to doing. It becomes easier to call this stuff out the more you do it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been this, like I'm saying, this is why I've got no friends. Like, you can't.
I mean, I've got lower standards.
I'm a cunt. If you say something and you don't do it and you don't keep to it, I'm going to get the arse. Like, it's as simple as that.
I've weirdly got lower standards for other people than I do for myself, but I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this bridging question, because like, it's surely beneficial to see it going in this direction, and like especially the anti-Semitism thing. I think that's kind of awesome that like he got called an anti-Semite, and it just kind of.
But don't you think it's too?
But everyone's reaction to it was, well, that's nonsense, which is not the stated goal is to make people anti-Semites, right? And that didn't do that. That just exposed how stupid this word is.
Yeah, nah, for sure. But at the same time, is the reason why they've done that is because they've been pushing that narrative that anyone that questions this stuff is an anti-Semite.
Which I thought, is that a new one?
No, they was doing that the whole time. It was a right wing thing. That, like, they were saying the whole movement was right wing racist at one stage, weren't they?
But, yeah. I don't know. I find it revealing. I think it reveals it because it's so ridiculous. I mean, we can't really judge because we don't have that much contact with Joe Normie anymore, or I don't.
Nah,
just let get on with it. You know, they like. I mean, what does the Bible say about that? That they're all bless these silly little sheep. I've got to learn to love, you know, the quadruple jabs because we're stuck with them.
Well, how long for though? Bless them.
I don't know.
Nah, poor bastards, mate. Don't. It's a terrible thing. Like, what? Go on.
Clearly, something has happened since 2020 in terms of people's awareness or consciousness, if you want to see it that way. Like, there's a lot of conversations going on. Like, everyone I speak to knows that everything is a lie, like absolutely everything. And that wasn't the case.
But don't you surround yourself? Haven't you surrounded yourself with these people since going through these movements and that, and then just held on to people that are decent after meeting them, sort of thing?
I think there's just more. I think there's way more of them than there were before, and I think that's a natural byproduct of the New World Order trying too hard, because they have tried too hard. It's really, like, their plans are ridiculous. I was saying this to you in a voice note, that if you actually crack into what Klaus Schwab's plans are, like his transhumanist plans, they're pretty unworkable. They're the machinations of a fantasist who doesn't really understand what's going on. Now, I wonder if Klaus Schwab is put there as a nice comedy villain for us because he's so obvious.
I don't know. I mean, you say they don't really work, but the fact of the matter is they did lock down the globe, and there was pushback, but it weren't like, we all know that the most people we had out could have been. Well, how many do you reckon that was when last year or whenever it was, when there was like a good amount of people out? How many people do you reckon that was?
2 years ago, that was now.
2 years ago. Yeah, it was
crazy. I mean, people say that it got up to 1 million. I know it was
say for argument's sake, then 1 million people. Yeah. That's how many people come out. Like, do you think if they lock down again, people are going to come out again?
I think that the whole thing becomes a bit untenable, because this is all so.
What becomes untenable? What are you talking about?
Let's zoom out, right? So the end goal is what?
To have everyone getting injected once every 6 months and having a digital ID that tells everyone what they've been injected with and when.
Can you sum that up in fewer words?
Digital IDs and vaccinations regular.
I would say one world government or global governance.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. That overall, that would be what it is. The B system,
or global surveillance of everyone through. Yeah. And so the kicker is to not be a part of that. And so the way that you do that on an individual level is you don't get the jab, and you don't install the app, and you don't do any of this stuff. And then what you want, I think America
is that enough?
Well,
is that enough for the individuals to do that? Is that, or are we not just going to become socially outcast, not got no social credit score, not allowed to take part in society?
This is the kicker. You need whole areas to do this together. So in America, you got the states, right?
They're looking to do their super city thing, though, aren't they?
Well, no, it is happening. Is it like Florida was always completely free, and you could just like they had no COVID rules, and I think they're starting their actual like prosecutions for vax damaged people. Like, there's good legal cases in some of these states and not in others, and it's even in the UK, like the rules in Wales and Scotland were worse than they were in England, because they were trying to outcompete New Zealand and all the other, and Canada, in who could be the worst country and impress the UN the most. And so the countries go at these different rates. And yeah, specifically with the states, you can have breakaway states. You're seeing it with abortion. You're seeing it with countries that are, or states that are saying no abortion here. And that is how it's going to go, because that's all
a part of this is what I mean. They've got every angle covered. That is all part of the globalist agenda. Devolution of power, making power more on a local level, is all part of the globalist agenda.
How would that be part of the globalist agenda? Devolving power to a local level. That's the opposite.
Because they want to chop it all up into regions and shit. I have read it. I should have read it more recently, but it is a part of their thing.
And this is where we switch around to being Christian again, because like God decreed the nations, right? And that's why they want to split them up. And this is the very reason that the globalists support something like the SNP, and that gets made a progressive party, or the Catalan independence movement. That's another one. These sort of breakaway, like, or even if the Cornish independence movement was a big enough thing, they'd fucking support that because it just tears our country apart. But I don't think that gets away from the fact that the only way you could push back at this, because you can't get anything into Parliament, but you can get a councillor in. You can get the Freedom Alliance could easily get a parish councillor in, no trouble. And then the Green Cities Initiative comes in, saying you must do your 15-minute city thing. And this area just says, no, thank you. We voted against that. We're not doing that. Like, that's the only, ultimately, all of their plans are always done by consent. We know this. We weren't pinned down with guys with machine guns. They said, they gave us texts. They texted us saying, come book your appointment to get your jab. You had to do it yourself. And so there's going to be consent to all of the beast system. And I think we are going to get presented with the option to say no, as long as you realize that it's there. Because most people aren't going to realize that they can say no, but you can.
I think common purpose has been in place for so long that with this devolution of power, I do believe that they've got just the same way that they was able to implement people in cabinets. I think there's the same way that they've got all these common purpose trained up fucking civil servants, cockends that are going to do be councillors and the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I wonder about the it was what Goddard was saying on the interview you did with him about how some of this stuff is inevitable. Like, I don't understand how this public sector can keep on growing indefinitely because it doesn't produce any wealth. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, I think what the war is between, it might not be totally black and white, but on one side, you've got the government and everybody that the government employs, which is everyone in the NHS, every teacher indoctrinating the kids and teaching them lies, and the police enforcing the whole bloody thing. Those are the bad guys, fundamentally, aren't they? That is the beast system. That's Babylon. And it also just wants to swallow more people up and kind of crush the other system. I don't even know where I'm going.
Fundamentally, it's communism, though. Is like this whole fucking massive part of the. I watched something the other day, and it was saying about how much of the GDP comes from flipping the government, and it's like a monumental figure from back in the war days. It used to be like 1-2%, and now it's something like 30-40%. Of all the wages being paid is all government people. It's fucking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is what we're wrestling with here, is that we're up against these. It's like a parasite, isn't it? The state. That's where I think I'm an anarchist now. I can't see how government.
Yeah, but I don't think you can be. This is what I used to run around telling people. I used to say I'm an anarchist and that, and I don't think you can be a Christian and be an anarchist. Is the point? I think you're either with Christ or you ain't. Do you know?
Oh yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's just like, can I support even the concept of government? Like, I don't think I can really, because this seems to be an inevitable result of it. I don't think we have a particularly bad government. I think this is just what happens if you've got government for long enough. Eventually, like
it's just man gets corrupted, and that's just what happens. You're right. That is the thing.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing. I don't believe that anyone has like. We're really talking about authority and other people having authority over you. If we agree, like, no, you got God, he's got authority over me, and then Mr. Policeman, you don't have authority over me, and Mr. Like, yeah, you do in a sort of real world thing, but you don't in a moral sense. I don't take what you say seriously, and you don't set down the rules for how I live my life, even though, like, yeah, you can whack me if I break your rules. I've always thought that we just need the masses to not recognize the legitimacy of that system, and then we're onto something. But the problem is that none of them believe they do. All these people like hated Boris Johnson the whole way through because they've been convinced to vote Labour, and they all wore the masks.
This is like when the first time I met you. Do you remember what I asked you? Because I said you look like one of them ones that's into all the banking stuff, like all the money into creation and all that sort of thing. You said you didn't really know too much about it, But it's when you're saying about we need to wake people up to the system and how it's a con. I think fundamentally the best way to do that is through the banking system and money into creation, how that all works. If people actually understood that they are debt, the money is debt, and it all comes from the birth certificate and how many birth certificates the government can promise bankers and how much tax and net profit they can get off these people in the future, and that's how they borrow their money that never existed in the first place, is only ever fucking debt, and it's got to be fucking paid back with the principal on top. Like, it's a fucking con, it's a farce, the whole fucking thing. Like, it's not backed by nothing, it's backed by force. You know, it's like you do what we say, else we fucking bomb you, and we're coming to pillage your resources while we're at it.
Well, it's difficult because you're born into the system, and then I think you only learn what the system is once you're already balls deep in it, don't you?
But this is what I'm saying. Like, there are avenues. I think there are ways of breaking it down to people to explaining, no, this is from Satan. This is from the devil. Tell me how this can be equitable, just and fair from the people that are always screaming these fucking buzzwords. Like, it's not. Like, the whole thing's a farce.
Well, I mean, we are in a position now. I like reading through the comments on the gay marriage debate with this reverend. Like, you get the temperature of the masses. I mean, it is the world. They're of the world. They're people who are like, well, they literally. I saw a comment that said, "Thank God, marriage has nothing to do with the church anymore, so that gay people can get married." And it's like, wow, you know.
And that's where we're at. That's the thing. Like,
we are. I mean, like, yeah, my granny's a funny example of it, because she is one of these that she like is not a Christian, but massively respects the Archbishop of Canterbury because he's got to that level. So therefore he must know what he's
meritocracy, respects the meritocracy.
Absolutely. She fully, because he's wearing the hat, you know, sit down and show some respect. He knows more about Christ than you do. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. It's bad where we are.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I choose to laugh at the whole thing a bit. And you do too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What else are you going to do? Cry?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, I've accepted that most people are going to essentially make the wrong decisions. But I kind of knew that before COVID rolled around. Because with my, like, the people I hung out with in my 20s, it was really weird. They were susceptible to all the polyamory and the gender bendy stuff. And, like, I could be friends with these people, but it always repulsed me, just, like, on a gut level. So I think people that are eventually going to go down this route are just like
you're saying predestined. You think the whole thing is predestined?
I mean, yeah. Well, that's it. I was in a circle of proper degenerates, and they were my friends. But I always like had a limit and didn't want to get involved in that. And then I was married while they were all doing their mad shit. And yeah, it does feel a bit like you kind of picked for it in advance. You just got to find it in the future.
Oh. Yeah, what about this comment here? I'm going to read it out to you. It says, plain placid, like Nick said, is useless. They systems still get built around us, and eventually you'll be jabbed or put on a ward 9 as a threat to society.
Have I played it placid?
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure what that actually meant.
I think that's a very strange thing to say about me. I've made my what I'm aware of quite clear, and you're supposed to go to jail for this stuff, but it hasn't happened to us, so that's good.
Have you had any police come and say anything to you about any comments or anything?
Not over internet stuff, not over a tweet. I've never had anything like that, and so I kind of want to make that clear because there's a pussy attitude among like the non-commenters before. I mean, this is from the PA thing that they all hid their names and who
they all hide their faces, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, because they were so scared that they were going to get a knock at the door from the police for making little, I don't know, using little K or P slurs and stuff, saying naughty things. And I'm just here to say, like, it doesn't happen. Like, I mean, I know there are these stories, like what's happened to Goddard lately, but in general, like,
it happened to that Chris as well, apparently.
I think that was a bit deeper. I think he got into a fight with a drag queen on Facebook.
Oh, well, there's a bit, a slanging match, a bit of to-in and throw-in.
Never, ever, ever go after anyone from the Rainbow Parade on social media, like an individual. Don't do it, because they're vindictive and they will sue, and they know they can use all the power. They're professional victims. If you misgender them, like there was this one a few years ago that just sued everyone. She sued or he even sued Graham Linehan, or maybe it was a she, maybe it was a woman that called itself a boy or something. But there was someone who made a career out of suing people that misgendered them on Twitter and lived off it, 5 figures. Because you can do it, and they will do that. So yeah, I think it's the rainbow people that you get in trouble for, really. The other stuff, I think people are because there's this weird narrative that you can say whatever you like about Muslims, but as soon as you know who's behind it, then they really come after you. They don't. They just don't. It hasn't happened.
What are you talking about, the JQ?
Yeah, you don't get arrested. So, if you make a big enemy of Joseph and Ambrosine and all this lot, then it won't be fun. That's not worth doing.
I ain't got the time for all that fucking shite, to be honest with you. I had a little bit of to-in and fro-in with that woman, mate, but it's just fucking pathetic, realistically. This is what I mean. They don't have nothing. They want to call you anti-Semitic, but realistically, you're just talking the truth. You're saying, look, there is disproportionate fucking amounts of fucking Israelis and Jewish people in positions of power in fucking big multinational agencies and that, mate, and companies.
Yeah. It's getting to the point where most of the people that are getting told they hate Jews aren't even making any judgment calls about the Jews. They're not actually saying this is good, this is bad.
The word anti-Semitic is useless and worthless at this stage.
It always was. I think it always was, and it was always by design. Well, you know what the Noahide laws are, right?
Yeah. But my point is, it's not for some people though. Some people have had a bit of stick as a result of it. Do you know what I mean? Some people have had a bit of a hard time with the anti-Semitism and that.
Maybe so. I mean, Christian again, Rev 29, right? I think it's a word that is hidden behind and used, and there were no.
For sure, they invented it to stop the discourse. I understand all that. I do get all that, but I'm just saying that it has been the cause of troubles, people using that word and being called that word, and now not so much is what I'm saying. It's not fucking valid no more. They've just thrown it around too much. You're saying earlier they just use it loosely, and then it's got no weight, it's got no gravity behind it, mate.
But it's also the key to all censorship, isn't it? All censorship eventually points back to anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial, because Holocaust denial is the worst thing. If you deny the Holocaust, then clearly you want another one or something. I think that's the logic they use.
You're not allowed to be a bit spurgy and just think, well, the maths don't really fucking add up.
It's a bit unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, there's an awful lot of survivors apparently still around.
For somewhere that was fucking killing everyone, it's mental, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, well, no, we know that 6 with 6 zeros, nothing dodgy about that. But it's also, I don't think it's the issue. I think people like Joseph and that, I think he's just heavily traumatized. I think he's latched onto this identity and made it his own, but I don't think he's particularly.
I think he's fucking Mossad, mate, and he's down there spurring on racial hatred and tensions, mate, trying to big up some sort of fucking. This is the thing. Fundamentally, it's them against us, whether we want to like it or admit it or not. We are at war with the fucking devil and the people in power that take their power from the devil. And these people that are getting shipped into the country, whether they're fucking demons or not, they're pawns. They're not necessarily willing in what they're doing. They're not doing it for the same cause. Do you see what I'm saying? Although they will rape and pillage, no doubt about it. But this is the point. It's not their fault, so to speak. We need to fucking. It's never going to happen. You're never going to get everyone to align. You can't even get the right wingers to align on fucking situations and shit. How are you going to get everyone with all the different political spectrum? It's all bollocks, mate.
It is all bollocks, but like I think the reason I'm an optimist is because I'm enjoying my life more than I was pre-COVID. Now I think.
I mean, I could agree with that sentiment, but I mean that it don't make me an optimist though, just because I'm having a bit more fun than I was.
Well, yeah, that's the question. Is like it. Yeah, the question is like, what's the goal? Save Britain? Well, okay, where are we setting that bar? What does that mean? What are we doing? So at the end of the day, all you can do is like save yourself, and that's the sort of religious message in it. And actually, I like having made that decision a while ago. I'm kind of enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying living according to that Ephesians thing because I feel like I'm actually doing something. But I
think at the same time we are supposed to be trying to save souls as well. Like I think it's one thing saving yourself, but I think the job, this war that we're fighting is a battle for souls. Fundamentally, the devil wants souls. He doesn't want you going to Jesus and to God and that. So that's the thing. I think that's the. Do you know what I mean?
It's tough though because they all have free will. I mean, that was the thing. No amount of like evidence convinced people to not to take it. So that and you'd literally be shaking people and nothing get through to them. So that changes the whole how do you save souls thing. Because I mean, I knew a Jehovah's Witness, man. Have you ever known a Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah, once or twice.
Yeah, I find that like they're so literal with all of it. Because this guy's interpretation was basically, well, unless you are on a street corner preaching the word all the time, you're not doing what God wants. And it doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, that to me seems a bit far, but that doesn't mean it's not on the right track. Like, I think if you are in the know and you can see it for what it is, then you are duty bound, morally obligated to spread the word.
Yes, I would agree, and that is why I would have this scrutiny for the MPs and the doctors. I don't like this new evidence claim and all that. Like, you know, this is not the truth. Even if
didn't you get his number to have an exclusive with him? No,
I didn't. I didn't try. I don't know. It's just a weird situation because I wasn't totally sure how I felt about him at that point. Because as I say, I'm kind of susceptible to getting swept up in people cheering and that, whereas you're super skeptical. I think you're probably a bit revolted by a crowd cheering, and you don't want to like it.
It ain't even that. It's just what are you cheering? It's just what are you cheering for? It's just when everyone sounds like a bunch of seals, man. That's what it. Yeah. You know? It's swear words. Why are we going, yeah, cheer when he's swearing, people are swearing? Do you know what I mean?
We both swear.
Yes, but I wouldn't fucking go, yeah, well done, you swore, bruv. Like, do you know what I mean? It's cringe, man. You're right. It did turn my stomach, but not for the reasons you think. Like, it's not because I don't want people to have hope. It's because they need to have a healthy bit of skepticism and discernment with that hope is what I'm saying. You shouldn't put all your faith into man. That's basically it. People are faithful, they're gonna fuck up. I don't put your fucking faith in me. I will fuck up. Do you know what I mean? I can admit that I'm due to fuck up. I nearly fucking dashed my computer in water about 30 minutes before I was supposed to talk to you. It could have been very close to me saying, "Look, Nick, sorry, bruv, I can't turn the computer on for until it's all dried out." Do you know what I mean? I could have fucked up. But
it's I think maybe I'm sort of sensitive to it because I saw so much of it it was sort of latter half of 2021. And the thing is, I didn't know the ins and outs of who the fuck was who in the freedom movement. I just saw a load of people I thought were doing the right thing and impressed me more than the nationalists had because they were pathetic in terms of staying anonymous and then not doing anything about COVID. I was so ashamed of them that I didn't really, and I was, just stuck in a load of bitchiness and didn't want to even learn who hates who in this London movement. And I didn't really care, but I did see that there was so much of it. Did you think there was just a huge?
It's a battle of egos, mate. It was always It was always the same thing. It was the war of the megaphones, mate, and it's fucking it's retarded.
Impressed by like the megaphone men, because I mean, I got like, that's why I started filming it. Initially, I went down to those protests with a boombox, because like if you're walking through the streets, like I don't know, you appreciate the few guys that bring a soundtrack. I think it makes those made those spring marches a bit better. And then I started filming because like I really enjoyed filming the public, or just like whoever, just new people every single time. And everyone had like a different passion subject. So this woman's talking about adrenochrome or whatever. This woman's talking about how everyone in Hollywood is actually trans and you don't know. And Brad Pitt's a woman and Cameron Diaz is a man. And this stuff was like great fun. I'm sorry, I've forgotten where I was going with that, or like the point of it. Oh no, that was it. That like I felt like filming those clips and putting them out was like a contribution.
Yeah, it was.
And just cataloging it. And it's the same as you. You go and filming it, that's a contribution. And a lot of it, I just thought, like, I don't think that standing and shouting at an empty building with a megaphone is doing bugger all. That is my viewpoint, is that, like, well, by filming it and documenting it, at least it's there forever and I've done something today. I don't like shouting at a building.
No. No, you're right. This is fundamentally an issue. Like we need to be organized in civil disobedience. We need to be getting people. We need to be going locally and getting 150 people in each place, or however many people, and saying, right, we're not paying council tax. We're fucking going to put everyone on notice. We're going to send letters to all the top ministers, everyone that needs to know. We're going to tell them our positions, and we're going to take a fucking stand. We're all, instead of all just meeting up once, fucking, don't get me wrong, them stand in your parks, and that was a good idea. That had a real that was something that could have materialized realistically into local civil disobedience. But what happened? Who knows? There's no direction. There's no leadership. This is the thing.
I'd blame that on our generation, mate, because I went down to my stand in the park and it was me and another guy my age, but it was kind of like a running joke of like, where is everyone our age? We keep meeting boomers. Like, this is it. Our entire friendship circle is like 60. And so I don't know what the answer is here. Like, there were not people who were sort of 35 or below didn't seem to care. The men didn't stand up for their country.
They'd rather be out fighting over the football.
Yeah, no, oh my God, that footage of the footy lads in the pens was just so funny because, like, did you have a weird revelation during that time where I realized I'm harder than like most of the men like me? I am. I to the point that, yeah, I actually think I could take you in a fight. Not just like, oh, my government's threatening me with my jabs and I stood my ground, but no, all you lads that go to the gym and go to the footy and think you're hard, I think I could genuinely take you, because that was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen, celebrating in their little footy pens.
Yeah, no, it's mental, mate. It goes to show you where you're at in your society, and like how much fucking we should all have a black pill, mate, because there ain't much fucking hope.
Yeah, but I was proper depressed a few years ago, and now I'm not, you know?
Yeah, because fair play, more power to you, but fucking, you know, I don't know. Maybe a black pill's not the best idea, but I'm struggling, mate.
Well, the reason, I mean, surely life is better now than it was like winter.
But this is the thing, Nicholas, mate. This is the thing. Have you been watching Davos? Did you watch Davos?
No, I don't. I don't watch what their plans are.
Right, it's all the same shit, mate. There's going to be the 5G or something's going to start killing people. The jab's going to start killing people. Something's going to start killing people. They're going to lock everyone down again. It's going to be the same shit, but worse.
Yeah, but I'm never going to be in a situation again where I'm stuck in my bedroom and I don't know anyone in person that feels like I do. It's never going to happen again.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It can't happen. And that's the thing. Like,
that's a personal thing, though, isn't it? This is what I'm saying. The black pill ain't on a personal level. The black pill's like for fucking the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but I mean, that was written, wasn't it? Oh, are we in year 3 of the tribulation?
No, I don't think we are. I think in order for the time of Jacob's trouble to actually be a thing, we won't be here.
Yeah.
Mm.
What do you mean?
We go up.
What, you think that happens before
the rapture?
Nah, that's after.
What?
Wrong order. Tribulation's first. We're in it. We're in year 3 or 4.
I mean, right. Go on. And what's your scripture to suggest that then?
I just like, if we're really looking at this, like,
I can pretty sure that it's because the church doesn't get mentioned during the time of Jacob's trouble. The church doesn't get mentioned after that.
It's all this stuff about being anointed in the forehead so that you avoid the mark. Well, avoid the mark of the beast and all of that. That, like, what is that? You know, that's being given that knowledge.
No, but you're saying the rapture is after the tribulations.
I'm saying that, the rapture.
Why do you think that?
I mean, well, okay. So there's problems with. I believe the rapture is after.
I've listened to you tell me we disagree on stuff, and I've listened to you tell me I'm wrong on stuff. This ain't a thing. Like, I'm just.
Oh no!
I just need to know why your dispensation, why you're saying that the rapture is after.
Because
this is something that I've really been fucking. I've been like, I struggled with myself, and I was grounded in my position after a while ago. So what is it that makes you think it's after we're going through it?
Because I think that the people that put the rapture before the tribulation are selling an answer. By and large, these are people that run cults that are selling you the way out by saying, well, don't worry, we're going to be saved. I'm sure the guys I trust who've talked about it have all said, no, you go through the difficult point, and then there's the bit where you're saved. You don't get saved before the tough point.
Right, okay, so what
point.
So what you're saying is you don't actually know, you've heard someone say it. And I'm not being funny.
What I'm saying is, like,
have you got scripture? Because you told me I was wrong. Told me I had it in the wrong order. So have you got scripture that backs up what you're saying?
Not to hand, no.
Right. Okay. That's all right. This is not a you thing. This is a me thing. This is I just need to be sure, like, my grounding is still sound.
No, I see. I got you. You all worried that I.
Yes, because it's going to get bad. They're going to chop people's heads off for being Christian. Like, for you to, and you're saying, like, we're halfway through that.
I think it's all a bit metaphorical. I think because of or esoteric, or there's other levels to it, and things can have like I'm really interested in the actual science of what happened on Christ's crucifixion. Like, you ever thought about this? Everyone like sort of go, well, he died for our sins and that's it. And I'm like, okay, well, what physically changed in the world when that happened? And there are people that have given those answers of what actually happened when his blood took in the light of the sun and then was spilled on the ground. And there's basically a lot of deep stuff. And I think that the guys,
like people talking about some sort of alchemy, like some sort of perverse alchemy. Like,
well, perverse, that's the thing. I want to. It's
you're talking about the blood mixing with the earth, and what's it making?
Well, the question is who's got the right interpretation here, because we know that the Christian Zionists are morons, and they're most of the people that I think are talking about the rapture coming before the tribulation.
You think?
Are they not Baptists and evangelical types?
Baptist, I think. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Evangelicals, possibly.
Yeah, it sounds like that kind of like big preacher man type thing. And then we've also got the Catholics drinking their blood. But then I know that you believe that the esoteric Gnosticy stuff is New Age and Luciferian. But I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, basically, in a nutshell, yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in the double levels of the meaning, because the Book of Revelations is not like
literal, as you're saying.
Yeah, it's, well, I don't think literal.
You think it's metaphorical?
I think maybe that's not the perfect word for it.
You think it's an allegory?
I just think there's levels to it. I think there's like, no, but
trying to name it, Jim, and just accept what I am saying. Yeah.
Well, the key was like the mark of the beast, right? So the mark of the beast is long known as a chip in your hand in conspiracy circles. But the mark of the beast is also like someone that can't operate above their base pleasures. So it's someone that lives on their phone and on Just Eat and on gambling apps and wanking, right? It's someone that doesn't ever like escape that sort of pod life, like the guys at the end of Wall-E, which is what the beast system wants. So the mark of the beast is also like an obese guy with a disgusting flat who hasn't cleaned his room like Jordan Peterson says. So that's what I mean. There's all of the book of Revelations is basically like a dual leveled thing where there will be a physical version.
So you're not a Bible believing Christian then?
No, I am, because I believe there's a physical version of it, of everything as well. So like Jesus Christ was real, but you have to read everything symbolically on top of it. Does that make sense? So everything does actually happen, but there's also a higher for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, physical and metaphysical is what you're saying. I think as above so below is probably the best.
Right. And then when you start saying shit like that, mate, that's fucking that's why the Gnosticism and the rest of it is all seen as Luciferian. And
why? Because it's not telling me to do as thou wilt. Like the rule of Luciferianism or Satanism is ultimate self-devotion.
Well, they're different, aren't they? Satanists worship the devil and Luciferians believe they're God. Okay,
but their religion is worship of the self, isn't it? Or like do anything.
Well, that's a Luciferian. Satanists worship the devil, worship Satan.
But the opposite would be Christ, which would be do best for humanity, really. Is not do that. Service to others.
Yeah.
And this is why narcissism, like the collective manifestation of narcissism, which is Satanism, is communism. Communism is Satanism on a collective level, and a narcissistic psychopath is like someone holding that satanic ideal just on the individual level. And the whole Christian thing is the antidote to that, because it's polarized in the opposite direction. So when we say like, oh, I don't know about tarot, I don't know about astrology, that's the tool of the devil. Well, how? Because I can't see any evidence that is not polarized in the right way. Am I making sense?
What about the technology? Do you think that's of the devil?
Technology.
How we're talking to each other now? How we're talking? Do you believe this is witchcraft, or do you believe this is just science?
That's a strange question.
Probably.
That's a strange question. I believe that the AI has an incredible power over us, but I think you and me are probably safe because, like, we met in person before we met online. So this is just a tool right now. This is just a way.
Yeah, I get that.
It doesn't really matter. It's neutral. But I think that social media, like this chat, will be less friendly than a group of people talking in person. It will be more nasty. Like Telegram is nastier than a group of people in the pub. I think all social media brings out the worst in people, maybe because of the typing or the anonymity. So, and then the beast system wants you on the computer, doesn't it? Like, I think the more, like, I really like that. I used to have a job in an office just doing data entry, copy paste, and that's a proper matrix job. And now I don't look at a screen in my job. I just like haul dirt, and it's perfect. This is why I'm so happy, man. Is because I've gone back to, like, do you watch Owen Benjamin?
Oh yeah, Bertaria,
yeah. Well, just like I look at that. There's a man that everyone said was crazy and had gone off the deep end, and like, oh, I don't trust him. And he's just ended up basically like he's obsessed with Christ, and he lives on a farm. And like, yeah, cool. You know, if I move,
it is pretty based.
Well, it's like that's the direction that we should basically be moving. More in touch with the land. I think that, yeah, society is going to, if you can still bear to live in a city at this point, I think you're pretty fucked. Like, because I essentially fled Cardiff before lockdown happened, but the city itself, like, I had personal circumstances, but the city was kind of becoming unbearable as well. And I think the cities have attracted these satanic types who, because they'll all have gay bars and like you can go drinking wherever till 4, and it just appeals to that mindset, right? And people that don't mind there being no trees and all that. I think this has been going on is that the people that this appeals to are moving to the cities, and everyone else is like exodus.
I think we, as people in the know, I think we should spend our time trying to tell people that they should stop eating aborted baby fetuses in their fucking drinks and their fast food and the rest of it, mate.
No mac and cheese.
Well, yeah, it's not even just that though, is it? It's all of the drinks and shit as well. All the fizzy pop drinks, all the crisps, it's and all that shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I would say the big split is organic versus AI, right? It's a transhumanist agenda. And essentially they want you chipped and stuff. So one way I've combated this is I bought a seasonal fruit and veg calendar.
Good idea.
It's so easy, you know. It was like 12 quid, and now I like really look forward to a pear or a cabbage now because it's just kind of locked in my mind.
You know, when it's due and when it's going to be fresh and lovely.
It's now what woke me up to it was like avocado is meant to be good for you, right? So I bought some avocados and I ate them, and I thought there's something weird about this, and I realized, yeah, I'm not supposed to be doing this as like an Englishman. I'm not. My ancestors didn't do this. They didn't eat an avocado in January. They had an apple or something.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm big on all that sort of thing. I think that's right.
Simple steps. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Politics is all theater. It's all a puppet show. We all know it's a lie anyway. So, like, genuinely just focus on, like, eating potatoes.
100%. Basically. Right, listen, Nick, that was very fun. That was very kind of you coming on, but I'm going to piss myself, geezer, so I've got a code. Yeah?
I've got shit I need to do anyway. So
I thoroughly appreciate your time. Thank you for that. It was insightful as well. You helped me out as well, mate. I appreciate that.
It's good fun. Good fun.
We'll do it again sometime, eh?
Indeed. What a pleasure. You go piss. Right.
Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.
Nice one, dude.
Cheers, mate. Right, I'll see you later, everyone. Sorry I can't stop and chat. I've got a fucking lash, man.